Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Bueller.
Welcome to Toker Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Radical Russ. That's Brian the Red. It's the 4 o'clock hour in the Pacific Time Zone, and we are having ourselves a good time here in Portland, Oregon. The weather is gorgeous. Oh my God, I love it when spring hits in Portland. The blossoms are out and the trees are starting to get leafy. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. It reminds me why I love living here. You just have to make it through that, 7 months of gray with a chance of wet.
Whatever.
Hey, all sorts of great stuff happening in the Pacific Northwest. I want to remind you that coming up, and I know this is a long ways out, but I just saw the announcement go out over the Weed blog that the International Marijuana Business Conference will be held here in Portland, Oregon at the Convention Center September 13th and 14th. Mm-hmm. I will be presenting at this conference. Alex Rogers, who's produced the 2 sold-out Oregon marijuana business conferences in Ashland and Eugene, promises this one will be bigger and better than ever, and I have no doubt at the Oregon Convention Center, Portland Convention Center, going to be that's the building with the spires, right? Convention Center.
Yep.
We're going to have ourselves a good time there, so check that out.
Me and a buddy went to a taping of Wheel of Fortune there.
Oh, really?
Yep. They had us lined up back and forth in these like little kind of. I refer it like a stockyard kind of thing. So me and my buddy were like, murr, murr, bah.
Yeah,
we actually got a few other people to join in.
And so we'll keep you in touch with that. Also, want to remind everyone about my upcoming appearance next Tuesday. I'll be on the Ed Foreman Show. Live at Dante's, like 10 p.m. It'll be a good time. We'll tape it. He wanted to do a 420 related show, and it's right before we're going to be taking off on our road trip, so that'll be fun. We will be in Denver for 420 for the Cannabis Cup. If you're going to be there, please hit us up at the 420 radio booth. It'll be easy to find us. We'll be in the place where there won't be so many people.
Yeah. There won't be any clouds, so it'll be easy to see us.
Yeah. No clouds, no crowds. Yeah, if you don't understand how this works. Okay, so when you go to one of these Cannabis Cups, and now, having done these for like the past 4 years in now 5 cities in America, I guess this ends up being about their 20th or so. 18, 17, something like that. But anyway, they've done a lot of these, and the way it basically shakes out is you have this indoor pavilion area where all the nonprofit organizations end up. So NORML and SSDP and the locals, California or Colorado, whatever state you're in, their booths will be in there.
Yeah, news and information.
Yeah. And then there'll be some vendors that are vending stuff that's not like glass. It's more technical stuff, or it's consulting or financial stuff that really wouldn't work in the party atmosphere. So they're inside too.
Yeah, testing labs, selling their services and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good example. So you'll be in those indoor things, and also in the indoor things is where they'll have the stage where you can watch the panels that are going on. But this year they're going to have two different places, a forum and a stage, and I'll be in the forum. So two different places to watch presentations and listen to panel discussions and such. But that's all indoors, right? And it's all, it's crowd. I mean, there's a lot of people, but it's not
going to be freaking packed.
It's not wall to wall, right? You can still walk through.
Yeah.
Now, in the indoor area, there are somewhere along the lines of like 90 booths, 80 booths, something like that. So it's going to be the biggest indoor area I've ever seen. But I got the map for the outdoor area. Oh my God.
Friggin'
amazing.
Sweet, yeah.
There can be like over 400 booths there. Easily over 400. At least 12 of them of those mega, 20 foot, 30 foot, 40 foot,
be ridiculous.
Expansive areas. It's going to be off the hook. And then I guess Friday night there's a show at Red Rocks. Saturday night there's another show. One of the shows is like Snoop Dogg. Another one's, I believe, Slightly Stupid's in town. And Be Real's in town.
Yeah, and then there's other stuff going on. Like I think the Dab Roots Festival the 420 Rally. And, just so many things happening down there in Denver. So...
looking forward to that. So we will bring you as much of the coverage of that as we can. I just got the note today from the tech people for our Wi-Fi, and I have to send in money for the Wi-Fi. So we'll get that taken care of today. Although Google Mail is misbehaving, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. But we'll get that all taken care of. And so we're looking forward to that. We'll be road tripping across Idaho and Wyoming. Starting on Wednesday. So Wednesday night, we will end up in Boise, and we'll crash there. And then Thursday morning, we'll get up and see if we can make our way all the way through to Denver and visit a lot of our friends that are hanging out there. So good times coming up next weekend, and we'll bring you all sorts of interviews and coverage and video and pictures and great stuff from the High Times U.S. Cannabis Cup, the first one where commercially available marijuana can be sold to any adult. It's going to be crazy. And concentrates are perfectly legal. We'll be right back. We got plenty of stories to talk about, including a meth story and more. Stick around.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Cannabis Outreach Collective is an alternative health and wellness option located in Gladstone, Oregon, that serves patients in the Portland area and beyond. We are a full-service alternative health and wellness collective accommodating patients with natural, organic, holistic, and homeopathic remedies, nutritional guidance, advice, education, and medical cannabis, fully in accordance with Oregon OMMP law. You can find out more about Cannabis Outreach Collective on Facebook at COC503 or by emailing cannabisoutreachcollective503@gmail.com or by telephone at 503-853-1319. Check out our menu on Weed Maps and visit Cannabis Outreach Collective today. 420 Radio. Tune in, turn on, get highly educated. When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college normal activists to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer. or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your fired up lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today.
Now this one is dedicated to the people all over. Remember the words of your crucial entertainer. When I say I do not sip the coke, I only smoke the sensimilla. I do not sip the coke, I only smoke. I do not sip the coke, I only smoke. I do not sip the coke, I only smoke. I do not sip the coke, I only smoke. Without a doubt, I am the boss, and in my class, I am the teacher. If music is a fruit of life, then I will be a reaper. If MC business was a school, then I would be headmaster. If a car, I'd be the driver. For bike, I'd be the rider. If MC business was a church, Pato would be the vicar. And instead of calling me MC, you all would call me preacher. But fun and joke aside, I want to get serious in this matter and dedicate this style to each and every cocaine dealer. I do not sip the coke, I only smoke.
And according to the latest data, twice the marijuana, half the coke. Welcome back. It's Toker Talk Radio. That's Pato Banton, of course. But don't sniff coke. I don't. I just like its smell.
Oh, bueno.
Welcome back. That's a joke, folks. Welcome back to Toker Talk Radio. We were just talking about the High Times Cannabis Cup coming up on 4/20. I'm taking a look now at a site here, the In Transit blog, which is a travel blog for the New York Times. Okay. And the New York Times travel blog says, in Colorado, Cannabis Cup time. They got a great picture here from the 2013 Cannabis Cup, which was packed. And you can see this picture. In fact, let me put this. I can't put it in the chat room because I lost my chat room. Oh, well, let me get the chat room back on. But anyway, like I said, New York Times reporting on this as a travel destination for Cannabis Cup for 4/20, which, great, loving it. They say the roving trade show, sponsored by High Times Magazine, has already sold around 25,000 tickets to the Denver event, said Dan Skye, the editorial director and spokesman for the show. That's almost 10,000 more than last year, with 30,000 visitors expected in total over the weekend. The event's grown so large, the organizers changed venues from the Exdo Center to the Denver Mart, where there will be plenty of outdoor space, they say. And so, I don't know, my Chrome is not behaving for me. So anyway, booths lining the outdoor recreation area will represent around 250 dispensaries, growers, and pot shops, with lots of merchandise to be tested. Dan Skye says it's probably going to be the biggest cannabis expo in history. I just spent a week in Colorado, and it was like a green rush. It's our 13th event in the United States. Oh, I overestimated. It's only 13 cups they've done. And it keeps getting bigger every year. All sorts of performances from Pro Ganja entertainers, including Snoop Lion, Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, and Slightly Stupid. Freedom Trail bus will be there, on which attendees will visit recreational marijuana centers in Denver. So, yeah, they're going to have a bus that you can get on at the Cup. It'll take you to some of these dispensaries so you can go make a buy.
Now, didn't we have an offer from one of the tour companies, or was that Washington?
It was Washington, I think. Okay. It's going to be a ganja yoga class and plenty of awards. And an opening party featuring Ice Cube and Action Bronson.
Snap.
So, yeah. And this is all coming out of, New York Times. Which is great.
It's hilarious. I love it. Oh, welcome to the green side.
Yeah, welcome to the green side. It's a beautiful thing when we are now being touted as travel destinations.
Yeah, instead of, look what they're doing over there in Colorado, it's, whoa, look what they're doing over in Colorado.
Yeah, wow. And this is bolstered by another story that came out today in USA Today. Pot sales, 8 billion tokes over the retail line by 2018. Ooh. Which I got to say, at least, you went lyrically there for your pot puns. Yeah. So not too bad, right?
Yeah.
But according to the report, marijuana could be an $8.2 billion retail business by 2018. That's a 33% jump over earlier forecasts and a five-fold increase over expected 2014 retail and medical marijuana sales, according to Marijuana Business Daily. They boosted their sales estimate due to the Justice Department taking a hands-off approach to drug enforcement in Colorado and in Colorado and Washington. The Chris Walsh from Cannabusiness Media says that the $8.2 billion sales estimate could be conservative and doesn't include wholesale revenue or marijuana-related products. So the reality of retail sales could be larger. Recreational sales are expected to hit up to $4.2 billion in 2018. Medical sales up to $4 billion. That year would mark the first that recreational sales would outpace medical sales. That's what they're saying. They said 2018, it's going to be till 2018 before more recreational pot is sold than medicinal. But that story that we talked about earlier today, as far as the tax revenue is only going up $30,000 from January to February, but they had 40% more stores. I think that there's going to be, and we got to be careful because the prohibitionists are going to pounce on this, and Sabet already has a bit with they didn't raise as much tax as they said. And that is the fact that it's overtaxed, right? People aren't stupid, right? If there
not all people.
Not all people are stupid. If there's marijuana at a store, and it's the same store, mind you, in a lot of cases, where on one side of the store, your marijuana costs you $350 an ounce, and on the other side of the store, the marijuana costs you $200 an ounce, you're going to find a friend who can go to the other side of the store. That's what I'd do. I'm not going to spend $350 on an ounce when my patient friend, I can hand him $200 and he can go get it. It's the same weed coming from the same store. This idea that recreational marijuana should be taxed to the hilt and medical marijuana shouldn't be taxed at all is going to be a real hard thing for us to negotiate around as more and more states want to try to legalize. And to me, personally, I think that there ought to just be either a tax on marijuana or not a tax on marijuana. That there shouldn't be a break, so-called break for patients. That there should be a consistent tax rate. Now, I know people scream about this, but Russ, prescription medicine isn't taxed. You can't tax people's medicine. It's medicine. Well, yeah, it's medicine, but it's more than that, right? Here's the problem with all of these discussions when we get all indignant and about patients and all this stuff, is the fact that while marijuana is medicine, it's also recreation. And there's no other medicine, not many other medicines, that you can make that claim for, right? I know people say, well, pain pills, right? Pain pills. But yeah, but that's more like abuse and addiction when you're starting to talk about, popping oxys and stuff, right? People aren't, like having oxy parties where, well, maybe they are, but as far as I know, this is more of a, it's not a social thing like marijuana use is. I could be wrong. I'm not into pills. So the problem I have with this is that when we say, well, medicine shouldn't be taxed, the problem is your medicine is also someone else's recreation. They're fungible. They're fungible products. Now, perhaps maybe you don't tax the CBD ones, the high CBD ones, because there is no recreational value in that. I don't know. But the problem you get, and this is the unintended consequence, right? The problem you get with trying to fight for these tax breaks for patients is that two-tiered pricing system that encourages people to cheat the medical side. It puts a black eye on the medical side. It makes it so that you have these Washington state guys trying to, tamp down on medical because they're not stupid. They can see what's going to happen. People are going to go get their medical pot. They're going to form their collectives rather than shop at the pot shops. Now, this is not to argue for high taxes on medical pot or recreational pot. What's the tax on medical pot in Colorado? 2.9%. What's the tax on recreational? 10% plus 15% plus 2.9% plus other sales taxes, blah, blah, blah. All the pot should be taxed at 2.9%. Patients, if you would accept a modest tax and then fight for that to be the tax for everyone, that would protect medical from the charges that people are cheating it just to get a price break on the taxes. So think about that a little bit. And again, this is a tough thing for some people because they're so idealistic about it. My God, it's a principle. You can't tax medicine. That you might be throwing away the good trying to fight for the perfect. And politics isn't always a land where choices are easy to make. I know one choice that's easy to make, though, because it's 420. Time to celebrate. Do some herb. We'll be right back.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Hey Tokers and Tokettes, Radical Russ here to introduce you to my friend Matt and all the staff at Lush LED Lighting. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED Lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. If you thought LEDs were meet the tech of today, Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Let's just say I appear at a lot of events with the masters of indoor horticulture, and the harvests I saw from Lush LED Lighting were big, tight, sticky, and very effective. Check out lushledlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Double your rewards and lower your expenses with Lush LED Lighting.
I'm a reefer smoking man.
Wood Pipe Smoke Shop and Speakeasy is your source for cannabis community gear in southern Wisconsin. Owners Brian and Tammy Wood are located in Kendall, just outside of Madison, and they've got everything for the smoking enthusiast, including a full assortment of pipes, water pipes, hookahs, bubblers, one-hitters, and so much more. They're open noon to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and can help you with your detoxification therapies as well. Call 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com for more information. That's 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com. And as always, go pack go. 420 Radio is 24-hour marijuana legalization radio. Check out our morning lineup every weekday at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. On Mondays, it's Drug Truth Network Century of Lies with Dean Becker from Houston, Texas. On Tuesdays, Electric Bob's Boogaloo with Electric Bob from Scottsdale, Arizona. On Wednesdays, Medical Marijuana Radio with Larry Love from Santa Fe, New Mexico. On Thursdays, a cannabis broadcast with John K. and Scott W. from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, Canada. And on Fridays, All the Hypocrisy with Jimmy Reefer Cake and Polly Madman from Maine. That's 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and 3 p.m. GMT, right here on 420radio.org.
But I was just going to start the news, man.
I know. Is this a flashback?
It's the actual song. It just came up on
Actual
Libramator. This is Bennett Pastor and Gregory Ryan, and the song is called The Unibonger. Not bomber, bonger. The Unibonger, right?
God,
cute. That's how I ended up picking it up. It's a nice little jazz piece. I thought it was all right.
And it's so funny because you've got all these little songs and bumpers and stuff. And, oh, hey.
Oh, we have a guest in the studio.
Yeah, Craig.
Cool. Craig's come down with his all uses Nunya shirt. All right. But given the news theme came up, I wanted to play something real quick, so we're going to take a break. for this update from our weather department. Enjoy.
I wanted to do a nostalgic thing here for my own sake and for the request of a couple of people that are on the crew that listen or look and through viewers or listening on headsets or whatever, and do a little weather forecast from Al Sleet. Al Sleet, the weatherman. Hey, baby, what's happening? Que pasa? Que what you call your pasa? Al Sleet here, you hippy-dippy weatherman, with all the hippy-dippy weather, man. Brought to you by Parsons Pest Control. Do you have termites, water bugs, and roaches? Well, Parsons will help you get rid of the termites and water bugs and help you smoke the roaches. Temperature at the airport is 88 degrees, which is stupid, man, because I don't know anybody who lives at the airport. Now, if you'll take a look at our national weather map, you'll see that we don't have one. So try to picture last night's map in your mind. Remember all the letters and lines, all them little numbers. The weather's dominated by a large Canadian low, which is not to be confused with a Mexican high. Tonight's forecast, dark. Continued dark tonight, turning to partly light in the morning. Oh, Al got out of the weather business, and he's now a linoleum quality control inspector in a linoleum plant. Al, he wanted to get out of the media. You know, he said, fuck it, I don't need it. And, hey, who can blame him? I don't know, but Al got out of weather.
All right, well, we lost the audio on the rest of that, so let's just move on. But welcome back to Toker Talk Radio. That was Al Sleet, the hippy-dippy weatherman, with our hippy-dippy weather, man. So, little George Carlin. I miss George Carlin so much. What a genius he was. Yep. Hey, Craig, how's everything going?
It's going well.
Yeah,
beautiful day outside.
It is. It's just spring has sprung in Portland, and you brought wonderfully long, thin, almost like Virginia Slims joints.
Yes, that's actually grown with LED lighting. It's a cross that Brian and I worked on between a couple of strains. We call it V1. It's our first cross.
Very nice. It's kind of almost minty.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's lemon skunk is part of the variety that we crossed.
That's very nice. Hey, some other stories just bouncing around out there that have nothing to do with weed that I wanted to mention. And I almost got duped. I almost got fish hooked into one of these here that Brian sent to me
I gotta keep you on your toes
about the state of Kansas supposedly trying to pass a bill to fine any Kansas TV station that plays Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmos series. And it was a satire, right? It was off of nationalreport.net, but it was written real well.
It was just a short one.
I'm like 2.5 paragraphs in before I'm going like, oh, wait a minute.
Maybe.
Wait a minute.
Got me.
But it does play. It does play on this controversy, and I shouldn't call it controversy, it's idiocy, of these people, these young Earth creationists that are so offended that Neil deGrasse Tyson is basically saying, you're full of shit. Science shows you're full of shit, and I'm not going to mince words by saying that you are full of shit. The one that he did the other day was talking about the speed of light and how the Crab Nebula was 6,500 light years away. And these young Earth creationists say that the Earth is only 6,500 years old, so if that were the case, we couldn't see anything past the Crab Nebula.
Oh, the logic.
It's actually kind of impossible to track the speed of light.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it. So
no. We tracked the speed of light. It was measured all the way back from Isaac Newton. Measured the speed of light.
You can't have two perfectly timed clocks in order to track the speed of light. It's impossible. In my opinion.
Okay.
You need time clocks. They're perfect. There's no way you can get them exactly. I saw a science show one time they were talking about it. Yeah, you
it-
can't really
even
register the true speed of light.
Even atomic clocks, if you take the element that they use to judge the decay rate, and you
Cesium.
put two of the clocks that had the same element taken off, the same source, you put them in different locations on the planet, they're going to be different times after a certain amount of time.
There is some relativity to deal with, though. If you get two clocks that are damn near synced and one of them moves, then relativity shortens the time on that clock. They've shown that when they get the watches back from the guys that go up in the shuttles, and they're only going 25,000 miles an hour. They come back and their watches are a little slower.
Gravity, pressure, there's all sorts of things that could.
But then aren't we getting into the Schrodinger's cat kind of thing, where the cat would, in the box with the element would be both dead and alive at the same time?
Well, now we're talking quantum, man. Hey, we got a call coming in, 541 area code. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey guys, it's Justice.
Justice!
Hey, I'm from Kansas, man, and I went to seminary. Yeah, it's a joke. I took a Christian, and I'm using air quotes. You can't see it, but I am
Here, we'll put them up for
science classes. Dude, it's hilarious, and it's biblically based science. Which is an oxymoron to begin with.
Yeah.
And then their whole thing with why evolution and why evolution doesn't exist is they harp on what they call the second law of thermodynamics, which says everything is constantly evolving, right? Like it's in a state of devolution,
right?
Which is maybe true in some instances, but I mean, come on, you know what I'm saying? And when you're a kid and it gets driven into you as a child and you're brainwashed, it's really hard to climb out of the cesspool of that kind of shit.
Well, sure. Especially when people set up their whole identity and worldview based on falsehoods.
What they learn, at that young age, exactly.
But it's, as far as the second law of thermodynamics thing is one that's, they're basically taking it out of context is a way to put it. They're ignoring the fact that you're not looking at a closed loop system. You're looking at a whole universe, and things do grow and become more complex. But we'll leave that to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He'll handle it better than me.
Well, they take a whole book out of context, so I'd imagine
yeah.
they take science out of there too, So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
You guys have a good one.
Thanks so much for calling in, Justice. Yeah, science is what we use to figure out how and why things do what they do. Religion is what we use to figure out who we are and why we're here, right? The people that get look to the Bible for like strict scientific fact are using the wrong tool. That's the problem. You're using the wrong tool. Now that worked as the tool for Bronze Age shepherds, right? When they didn't have scientific method and didn't know what was going on, it worked but it doesn't work now. And the greatest thing to me, the greatest irony in the whole damn world to me, is when I get into a debate about science with one of these people on the internet. You are using the pinnacle of information and technology that science has evolved us to tell me that science is bullshit.
The eclectic mesh that's out there.
That's amazing to me. Just blows my mind every time it happens. Let me get to another subject. Oh, Larry's down here too. Let me see. You're on green, yellow there. You're on 5. Okay. I don't know why that's 5, but no, that's 4. Now it's 4. All right, there you are.
Russ?
Larry?
Yep. Real quick, can I finish off a quick?
Please.
Yeah, and for me, logic and common sense, I don't know if this makes any sense to everybody out there. If you can see it, must be there. So we got telescopes that can see how many billions of miles away.
Yeah.
And supposedly they're seeing some ancient light that's coming toward.
Yeah.
For me, I have a hard problem with that. If you see it, maybe it's actually there. Speed of light we might be seeing quicker than we actually think we are. That's the way.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
Either that or it's been gone for millions of years and we just don't know it. The light's still coming.
I have a hard time with. Lights off, the light's off. So I don't see light in motion too much, but.
Okay, let me get to this other subject though that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and it's this another non-marijuana subject. This heart bleed. Have you heard of this? Heart bleed. It's a security flaw that they've found in secure socket layers on the internet. Now, let me translate this to average people speak. They just found out that the way the internet talks to each other in a supposedly secure way has had this massive hole in it for about 2 years. Mm-hmm. And nobody knew it was there.
So, we'll put it this kind of way. You know the old treehouse talk line that you had with the 2 cans and the string.
Yes.
Everybody thought that was kind of secure until somebody ties another string into the middle and puts another can on it.
Yeah,
that's what happened with the internet. So,
yeah, and
lots of other strings were tied on.
And one of the points being made here, and I got this in a tweet that came across from Governor Gary Johnson. He was retweeting it, and it was the point that really the only people in any position to exploit this hole is the NSA. It's like nobody else really had awareness that it was there or the wherewithal to go after it. Now, I haven't checked up on the article on that, but it's an interesting thought.
Well, I'm sure I know some people who were aware of this, but you know, we don't talk about those kind of things with the public. You know, okay, you know, when you've worked with quote unquote hackers, you know,
yeah.
I say people who are just really good at programming and languages. You don't talk about certain things when you're not in those groups. It's just common sense.
Well, we'll find out what's going on with this, but everybody's in a panic, like, oh, I got to change my passwords. Change this, change that. I'm not reckless about passwords. I mean, I'm decent. I'm medium security, but I also have this attitude that, look, if someone wants to hack me, there's no level of security I can implement that's going to keep them out. So I want to keep the scamps and the script kiddies away. But you know, if there's a serious coder out there, I got no chance. You know,
there's an article in the paper a while back about NSA and encryption, and I think they're down to like a quadrillion that they can figure out on encryption.
Oh yeah, it's amazing the math that's involved in that. Yeah. Oh my God. So anyway, those are just a couple of non-marijuana related stories I wanted to just bring up real quick. And then when we come back from break, I've got another non-marijuana related story, but it is drug related, and it comes under that heading of unintended consequences, right? You know, be careful what you're trying to do because you never know how it's going to turn out. Well, I got a story that I think is just laden with potential unintended consequences, plus a story about it's a guy interfering with DEA wiretaps, and he's in big trouble. We'll tell you why. So that's coming up here in our last couple of segments here on Toker Talk Radio, hanging out with Brian the Red, Cool Craig, and Left Wing Larry, because we're cool like that. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
I'm Subcool from Team Green Avenger. At TGAgenetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAgenetics.com, the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
.420 Radio, the world's voice of marijuana legalization. Normal stands for responsible adult cannabis use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks are far less than those posed by legal drugs.
Liebermater pulled it up, but I can't connect to the chat. Is there a mod out there that can turn the sensor off? It's been that kind of day and night last night for me. Maybe it's time that we just let Nice Peter take us away. This is I Quit, You Fat
Well,
Motherfucker.
I got me a job at a rundown diner, making good tips and it couldn't be finer, till some lady said that I was being rude. She said my soup's too hot and my coffee's cold, and I said, ma'am, that's because you're old, and I decided right there to spit something in her food. So I found a plate and I hocked something in it. Wouldn't you know that at just that minute the manager was coming around that curve. He said, boy, you just must be crazy, not to mention dumb and lazy. I gave that fat bitch just what he deserved. I said, I quit, you fat motherfucker. You can take this job and shove it up your ass. I said, I quit, you fat motherfucker. I'm going home and I'm smoking grass. Well, we all gotta work just to stay alive, and everybody's working that 9 to 5. And working, man, it sure can make you sick. When you've been working 5 years in the same damn place, and the boss keeps screaming in your goddamn face, and you wanna tell that asshole to suck yo. Yeah. Stand up for yourself and be a man. You can do it, anybody can. Give that fat man a big fat piece of your mind. Tell him that you want a raise, and if he laughs right in your face, bend right over and show him your behind. And say, I quit, you fat motherfucker. You can take this job and shove it up your ass. I said, I quit, you fat motherfucker. I'm going home and I'm smoking grass. Everybody's doing what they can, and we're all sick working for the man. So stand up straight and let your voice be heard. Sing this song and flip your boss the bird, and tell him I quit. Fat ass motherfucker. You can take this job and shove it up your ass. I said I quit. You big fat stinky like an old ass ham sandwich motherfucker. Oh, I'm going home and I'm smoking. Lord, I'm choking. Lord, I'm smoking grass. I'm smoking weed, 'cause I don't need your fucking job. Oh yeah.
That's Nice Peter, who's one half of the duo who does the epic rap battles of history. Love that stuff. Enjoying that. And we're hanging out with Cool Craig and Left Wing Larry as well, who are in the studio. And we might have to submit a story for this next post I'm going to tell you about. You know about This American Life? It's on public broadcasting, right? Public radio. This American Life, a little story, a little show out of WBEZ. And they have a post up that says, "We want your stories about being high."
Okay, now they got to be a little more specific, because when it comes to me, you know, how high and what substance.
Well,
and
specificity you ask for, specificity you shall get.
I've got a real good one for my first high.
Well, let me tell you about this, and you can write it up and you can send it in.
Okay.
Quarter-gram dab story. You know.
Hi, friends. We're hoping you can help us with an upcoming episode. It's about drug use and the various, hopefully surprising things people do while under the influence. As with most of our shows, we're planning to produce a mix of stories, Some will be on the lighter, funnier side. Others will deal with addiction and the darker aspects of drugs. 1 or 2 stories might end up being both funny and dark at turns. In that mix, we'd like to devote a portion of the show to a collection of shorter stories in the classic I was so high genre. So, these would be the kind of anecdotes you might hear at a bar or whenever you're hanging out with friends. And we'd like them to come from you. Succinctly put, we're asking you to send us ideas for stories you can tell on the radio about a time when you or a friend, relative, spouse, parent, coworker, etc. happened to be high and went through something that they'll never forget and maybe even learn something from. We're particularly looking for stories on the lighter, funnier side of the spectrum, though we don't want to rule out a story we like strictly based on the tone. The type of drug doesn't so much matter. It's not a show only about marijuana. Being drunk probably doesn't count. But we'd be open to a good anesthesia story or two. What we're not looking for is the kind of story that goes, I was so high I thought I lost my phone and I searched for it for an hour before realizing it was in my pocket. In other words, these stories should be like all of your favorite stories on the show, extraordinary, surprising, something people are unlikely to hear anywhere else. Also, importantly, these stories need to be true. So, if you have a story like that, please send it our way. We've set up an email address especially for the purpose. Are you ready? So high at thislife.org.
That's great.
So high at thislife.org. We will not use your name on the air.
Aww.
Repeated for emphasis. We will not use your name on the air.
What if we want
But please include your full name, email address, and phone number so we know that you are an actual person, and we can get a hold of you if we want to record you telling your story. Also, please know that we can only devote 1 or 2 people to sifting through the emails. So if you could keep these anecdotes brief, 2 or 3 paragraphs at the most, unless if you can manage it, that would be great. A final note, we just want to stress that we're not trying to condone drug use with this episode, nor trivialize the various impacts that drugs can have on people's lives. We're more just wanting to acknowledge the existence of drug use and the fact that more people have experimented or used drugs regularly than we might expect. Thank you so much, everybody. We're looking forward to hearing what you've got. If you think your story might work for the show, we'll give you a shout. Sincerely, the staff of This American Life. So, if you've got a short, interesting, extraordinary anecdote for them, so high at thislife.org. So, do we have any such stories?
Well, as you were reading that, I was thinking back over my experiences, and a lot of the stories that I have were about my friends.
Well, that would count. They say you could use stories about your friends.
Well, like my friend was so high one time. It was 420, and it was his first 420 in Portland since he moved here from out of town. And we went to this place, and they had samples of medibles, and I warned him not to overdo it. And then he went along getting a free sample from every table. And then we wound up sitting on a couch upstairs, and I asked him how he was feeling, and he said, "I'm doing great, but my leg is a little bit numb." And then I looked down at the floor, and I said, "Is that the one with your backpack sitting on it?" And he said, "Oh, man."
Larry, you said you had one about your first time?
This is kind of amazing. I had probably smoked pot at least a half a dozen times and had no effect from it at all. None whatsoever. I had just got out of college. I was working at Harrop Engineering in Columbus, Ohio, and I stopped at a bar on the way home, and I was shooting pool, and this guy goes, "Let's go out back and smoke a joint." So we go out back and smoke a joint. He and I split a joint. Now, this is that 1970s weed, the 3%.
Woodstock weed.
Well, when I left the bar, I was on 5th Avenue in Columbus, Ohio. There was an underpass that went under a railroad overpass. And I thought the car was going to turn over. Then I got home, got in the bathtub, soaking there, trying to clear my head out. And the washing machine was in the next story under me. And I could hear the timer on the washing machine clock going tick, 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 tick. So then I left the bathroom. And I walked into the kitchen, and my wife said, "What would you get me a toothpick? So I messed around in the kitchen for a while, and I walked in the front room, and she said, did you get me that toothpick? And I said, oh, okay. So I go back inside, I climb up on a chair, get to the top shelf, get a toothpick out, and after I got it out, I'm standing there looking at it going, did she really ask for that, or did I imagine it? I mean, that was really stoned on 3%.
Oh, my goodness. We better be
That's
careful.
a great story.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and we've been giving him dabs. Shit, be careful.
Yeah. Who knows what'll happen in there? We'll get you to Cannabis Cup. Oh.
We're going to have to put
I met a guy
leash
this
and a
morning
tag on it.
at breakfast, and he had on a hat that had leaves all over it, and I asked him if he was headed down to Denver, and he said no, he wasn't going to be able to make it. It's part of the Happy Daddy crew.
Oh, yeah.
And so anyways, he says to me, he says, are you going? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, have you been practicing, build up your tolerance? And I said, I'm a pussy. That's all there is to it. I'll go in, I'll do a couple of hits, then I'll go over and sit down in the corner and be quiet.
We're going to have a special lanyard made up for you, Larry, that says, if found, please return to the 420 radio booth.
Right.
We'll make sure you don't get lost.
Craig, did you have a story for American Life? Any high stories?
Bit. When I was in high school, it was, I guess, about May 15th. Well, a couple weeks before that, I was in art class, and we went outside to do a little drawing, and I was hanging with this one guy, and we're walking around over by the bathrooms, and he's looking around the ground, and I'm looking at things to draw, and after a while I said, well, where are you looking around the ground for? I'm looking for roaches. Okay, so I'm looking around, and yeah, about 10 minutes, dude, I don't see any roaches crawling around here anywhere. My parents didn't smoke or drink, very straight, and my grandparents, same way, so I had I was clueless. Literally, within a month, I was in the bowl at my high school taking my first hit off a joint. There's no funny story, but I went in, took school. But yeah, I was, a month before that, I was looking for roaches crawling on the ground. It's like a short little cigarette butt. But it's not like the filters on it, it's like a one without the filter.
Kind of brown.
Oh, okay, I can look for that.
I can look for that.
Behind the can.
Find those easy.
Oh, boy. Hey, if you, again, So High at American Life, I think it was, .com. Let's see if we can bring that thing back up. Where was it? Oh, wait a minute. So High at thislife.org if you got a story.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit marijuanaissafer.com.
Drug Truth Network, Cultural Baggage, starring Dean Becker from Houston, Texas, Mondays at 8 a.m. Pacific on 420radio.org.
Till collectors gather round and rather, horns the
party's next door.
Welcome back, everybody. Ain't We Got Fun? That's Van and Shank from the early 20th century. That's some of the music we play on the Viper Hour. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. Pacific time, we bring you the best in 20th century blues, jazz, and swing. So check it out. The Viper Hour, every Monday, 8 p.m. Pacific. And just winding up here at Rolla J, there was one more story that I wanted to get to. Not really rant material because it's not about marijuana, but I did want to rant on it a little bit. It came off of foxnews.com, so already, I'm a little amped
Grain
up.
of salt.
And it's under the heading of states' rights, which I find interesting. But the headline is, states target meth labs with name and shame strategy. Name and shame strategy. Okay, so this is what the story talks about. Is Indiana passed a law last month that would require the government to list the location of busted meth labs on an online registry. It's a bid to shame not only the drug makers, but also property owners and landlords. The new law goes into effect July 1st, gives owners 6 months to clean up a methamphetamine mess. If they fail to do so, their properties will be placed on the online list. Okay, I got a big problem with this. Of course, I have a big problem with publicly accessible lists of all sorts of things, but this is one that I got a problem with because they're not paying attention to what are the unintended consequences of this kind of law. What happens in this kind of situation is you make it so landlords now are they're starting to install. There was another story that I was reading where these landlords are starting to install in some of their properties meth minder, which is like a smoke detector or a radon detector that detects the byproducts, the fumes that are made from the making of meth.
Mixture of chemicals. And
it silently alerts the landlord and lets them know that that's happening, right? So there's all these things that they're trying to do to stop the scourge of meth labs, rather than doing what needs to be done, and that, of course, is legalization. But, again, it's meth, and everybody has these visions of zombies and undead creatures and the faces of meth and the meth mouth and all that, and so people can't think rationally on this. But this database, right? First of all, if the home ends up on the database as being a meth lab home, what does that do to everybody else in the neighborhood and their property values? No, sure. Right? Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep track of where these places are, or that the cops shouldn't be, getting the landlords to clean these places up. I've got the problem with the online posting of it. In fact, I've got a problem anytime when our approach to a problem is shaming people. I think that's just probably a general first step that we shouldn't be taking anyway. But,
like, if they don't feel shame already, then making it public will usually not do much to help.
Right, and it's not, so I don't think these landlords are like knowingly renting to people, hoping they're going to make meth labs out of their places, right? So it's it's a bad situation. And I'm going to think more about that and have more to say about that soon. Also, another quick story before we run out of time. Pasadena man convicted for warning drug dealers of DEA wiretaps. Pasadena man pleaded guilty to unlawfully providing notice of electronic surveillance to suspected drug dealers in the county. 34-year-old Joshua Ferguson warned a suspected drug trafficker of 3 phone taps. He got the information from 23-year-old Sarah Harris. Probably they were hooking up, right? Mm-hmm. And she said she worked at the clerk's office for the circuit court. Uh-huh. So she told him that there were phone taps in Pasadena, so he told the drug dealer there were phone taps. This guy faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release and a $250,000 fine, $250,000. The woman who worked as the clerk, obstruction of an official proceeding, maximum sentence, possible 20 years in prison. The dealer, 2 dealers that got involved, one of them was sentenced to 160 months in prison. That's 13 years. So the clerk who just tipped off the boyfriend about the wiretaps might do more time than the guy the wiretaps were on. Wow. Interesting story. Anyway, that's all the time we got here for Hour 2. Thanks for joining us. Coming up next, the new edition of Free Weed with Danny Danko. Episode 60 coming up. For Brian the Red and Cool Craig and Left Wing Larry, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it,